Welcome back to the kitchen, guys and girls. This is your boy Mark, the Mad Chef, and as I promised to you all last week in my video post, we were going to be doing a 100 subscribers celebration, and here we are as promised. And part of that 100 subscribers celebration was having you guys submit your requests to me as what you wanted me to cook for this video. And I did get two really strong suggestions, one via YouTube and one was actually delivered to me in person. That being said, I wanted to make both of them, to be completely honest with you, but resources, finances, and all that good stuff just didn't allow for that to happen. So the one we're going with today was the one that was submitted to me in person. No hard feelings to my very loyal subscriber, Lois. She wanted me to make a from-scratch steak burger and hand-cut fries, but in order to make the video that you requested, logistically, I cannot supply that at the moment. I'm in a small town. The only two retail grocery stores we have are both Walmart and Food Lion, and neither one of those places had the right kinds of ground meat prepackaged at the right fat content levels for me to make a steak burger. You just can't put any old ground beef on a bun and call it a steak burger. I serve a lot of things on this channel, and a lie is not one of them. So there's also no butcher shops at the time of this recording in Farmville. The only one went out of business last year. So it's not like I had the money or the resources to go and ask them to grind me up literally 3 or 4 different cuts of beef and some beef fat to make the proper burger. But as an apology, once I get back to work and get some money, along with some other things, I'm going to be buying a meat grinder attachment for the KitchenAid mixer back there. And I will make you a scratch-made steak burger. I promise now, and I always deliver on my promises. I don't know when it will be, but I will make you a from-scratch steak burger and fries with real fresh ground steaks, because if I'm going to do it for you, I'm going to do it right, and thank you for always being there. But tonight, we are going to be doing a really, really special Mad Chef twist on an internet classic. Honestly, I was not going to air this segment of the channel until much later this year, but since we're already here, this is Viral Recipes. What we're making tonight is a very popular one from both Pinterest and TikTok and wherever else. This is the bacon cheeseburger tater tot hot dish. It's one of the many spin-offs of the classic Minnesotan tater tot hot dish. Honestly, that's great because I've never heard of one notable thing ever coming out of Minnesota. No disrespect or love to Minnesotans. I just like to roast as a token of my affection. But if you got it, flaunt it. So you have many different variations of this tater tot casserole, being a bacon cheeseburger version, you've got the taco version, you've got a breakfast version. But if it wasn't for that iconic regional dish, we wouldn't have the many spin-offs that we do today of said recipe. So we're going to be making everything from scratch, including our tater tots. Yep. We're about to start this right now. So let's cut the talk and get right to it. Alright, so what I have here are 5 large russet potatoes that I've peeled. And all we're going to do is put them in a pot full of boiling water, and we're going to boil these guys off between 10 and 12 minutes. The goal is not to have them cooked all the way through. You want their exteriors to be soft and pliable, but that interior still needs to be fairly raw. So we're going to give it a fork test at 10 minutes. And if it's still a little too underdone, we'll give it another 2 or 3. And I'll see you after that. Alright, so my kitchen timer just went off. It's been 10 minutes. And I want to go ahead and check these potatoes, see if they're anywhere near being ready. And they are still entirely too raw. So what you want is for the fork to be able to go completely into the center of this potato and have the exterior soft, but have a pretty much raw inside. If you have put your fork through this potato and it has come completely apart, you have ruined your tots, and you may as well just make shepherd's pie after this, because you're not going to be able to save it once it becomes that soft. So we're going to give this about another 2 to 3 minutes, and we're going to check it then. Alright, and this is what we're looking for. Soft outside, firm center. Now, for me, that took about 15 minutes to achieve. The larger your potatoes are, and the more potatoes you have in the pot, the longer it's going to take. So please watch your time accordingly and do not let these fully cook. That being said, I'm going to remove these bad boys from the water to a cutting board, and we're going to let these cool for about 15 minutes because we're going to need to be able to touch these with our hands. So in the meantime, I want to gather some things together for the rest of the meal, and we should be ready to go after that. Alright, and as I suspected, I finished pretty much rounding up most of the rest of the ingredients here, and these potatoes are workable. And the first thing we are going to do is take a clean kitchen towel, and we're going to just try to mop up any excess moisture that may be there. Doesn't look like these guys have much, if any. Because that's not really going to help us at the end. Alright, now we have dry taters. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to shred them. Very similar to how we do hash browns. Now ideally a box grater would be ideal for this, but this is what I have, and this works just fine, honestly. And you may be asking, why are we shredding these taters on the cutting board when I have a perfectly good bowl right here? And that's because we ain't making hash browns, pal. This technique for tater tots is not quite as forgiving, and you're about to see why. So let's go ahead and shred all of our beautiful tots. We're all done with shredding our taters up, and this is what you ideally should be left with. Yes, I know it looks like Armageddon on a cutting board, but you should have various different size shreds of potato with some mash in between. They're not going to be the same size, so don't worry about it. You want all of this. The unevenness is going to kind of work in your favor here. So, well, our next step is going to be going through this with a bench scraper and just trying to cut some of these longer strands down. You're just going to run it through this a couple times because you don't want to be getting into a tater tot and they have like these long spikes of potatoes in it. So we got to try to make everything a little more manageable because you don't want your tater tots, one, to be unformable, or two, have an 80s mohawk of potatoes spiking right through it, unless that's your sort of thing. No judgment. Maybe a little. Alright. And once you guys are done eliminating the rest of your shredded potatoes, hopes and dreams, and their bodies, we're going to transfer them directly into this bowl. And this is also another reason why a bench scraper is absolutely helpful. Now once you've cleaned your workspace of any casualties that may not have made it from your cutting board into your bowl, we need to talk about seasoning. Alright, so in this bowl I have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1 teaspoon each of onion and garlic powder, and that's really it, guys. You could get bougie with this and add like parsley and green onions or whatever you want. We're just making tots, guys. Don't worry. We'll get bougie later. We'll get bougie whenever it's time. Just wait. Alright, so even the, you could also just do salt and pepper. But honestly, the prepackaged tots that you get in the store honestly come with a little more seasoning than that. Yes, they are lightly seasoned, but they have some flavor, which is why I introduced the garlic and the onion, because I'm pretty sure those flavors are in there as well. Also, a tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Why AP flour, you ask? And that's because we need a binder. Without a binder, we are not going to be able to roll these into the famous tot shape. So very gradually, I'm going to add in our seasoning. A little goes a long way when it comes to this. As again, flavor of a tot is actually very mild. Just lightly seasoned. Less is more sometimes. So we're going to continue to add this until we've got our shredded mash mess of taters into a fairly homogeneous mix. Okay, so now we've got to shape our tater tots. And the one thing you absolutely want to do is keep a bowl of warm water to dip your hands in. You want to keep your fingers wet. That's what she said. And then if you don't, you're going to be bringing out more potatoes into your fingernails and on your hands than you will onto the baking sheet. So let's go ahead and get a quick dive in. We're going to go ahead and start with a small amount of potatoes, and we are going to roll them into tot-shaped cylinders. About an inch is what you're looking for, standard tot size. If you want to make them differently, then by all means, that's your prerogative. Go for it. There we go. So just take a little bit of your potato. You want to pre-roll it in your hand. Mash down in the hole where your finger or your thumb and your fingers meet. And then there you are. These are tots. So we're going to line this all up on our baking sheet until we have fully used all of our shredded taters. So this is what we got. Look at those. Have you guys ever seen tots this big before? And if you guys were wondering what kind of time lapse and how long it took me to make these, it took about 18 minutes from start to finish, and it made 15, 20, 25, 30, 36 tater tots. Guys, you do not have to go through all of this if you don't want to, but being that this is a very special and important moment to me, I wanted to make this video as best as I can and give you guys something to actually look forward to and bring you guys different content and honestly a better channel to watch. That's my goal this year, to give you guys a better Mad Chef experience in 2024. So that being said, we're going to put these into the freezer exactly as they are. You don't need to cover them because we're only going to keep them in for about 30-ish minutes. Now, if you guys are making these just to keep as a backup, after about an hour in the freezer and they're frozen solid, put them in a Ziploc bag and you can keep these for literally up to a month. All right, so we're just going to toss this in the freezer and we're going to get to work on the rest of this casserole. All right, as it was previously stated, this is the bacon cheeseburger variety of the Minnesota hot dish. So, as usual, we have 8 slices of thick cut bacon cut into little bitty cubes or strips, lardons, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to toss this right into our skillet. And we are going to be cooking and preparing this beef pretty much identically, almost identically, to the way we did in our Better Than the Box video of the Hamburger Helper Cheeseburger Mac. Now, on the topic of Better Than the Box, a lot of people have commented wanting me to continue the series, and guys, you have nothing to worry about. If you guys are new to the channel, I do a segment called Better Than the Box where I make fresh approaches and make popular national brand box dinners from scratch. There's a whole playlist to it, and guys, we are recording a whole season of Better Than the Box videos. It's currently being filmed and produced right now. And I do mean literal season. There's going to be a lot of new videos, and guys, we're taking it to places we've never done before. You're going to be very, very surprised at what's going to happen this year on Better Than the Box. You may not see it for a few months, but know that it is coming. You're welcome. All right. So while our bacon is searing off in the pan, getting nice and crispy, we're going to go ahead and talk about our burger seasoning. This is 2 1/4 pounds of 80/20 ground beef as per usual. And we're going to add our seasoning. All right, so I decided to keep this a bit simpler. I'm not trying to overcomplicate this recipe, much more than it needs to be. I understand that's fresh coming from a guy who just spent an hour making scratch-made tots. However, this is 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We want to add that in. Guys, if you do have ground mustard, about a tablespoon, not a tablespoon, but about a teaspoon of ground mustard will elevate this experience. I just discovered that I am out of ground mustard, but if you guys don't have it, don't worry about it. It's not an absolute necessity. It just makes the experience a bit better. So we're going to go ahead and start getting this incorporated into our ground meat. Getting everything nice and thoroughly seasoned. All right. We're going to give this a little bit of an umami kick, and this is actually in the OG recipe as well. This is 4 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Say it with me, everybody. Worcestershire sauce, not Worcester sauce, not the W sauce, and not for sure the Wash Your Sister sauce. I will not touch anything called Wash Your Sister. I don't have one, but I would definitely not wash my sister if I had one. There's got to be a hidden Alabama or West Virginia joke somewhere in there. See, Minnesota, I spread my roasting love to all states. And we're going to go ahead and put this in. I want to stir up the beef, and once the bacon is done, we'll meet you at the stove and we'll show you how to make the rest of this. And now that we have our perfectly crispy bacon bits draining in a towel-lined bowl, we're going to go ahead and get our sauce pot preheating on a medium-ish, medium-high heat. And now we're going to go ahead and dump our beef mixture into our bacon grease, as we typically do. This is going to add an extra kick. Alright, and now that we're on the subject of the sauce. Alright guys, we have got to talk about this. We're all adults here. You have never seen me use a can of condensed soup. You never have, you never will. Guys, when you're thinking about this hot dish, this sauce is like a stroke waiting to happen. You have seasoned beef, you have bacon, you're going to have tots, which also have salt. And then you have seasoned ground beef, and you're going to be putting in not only sour cream, but you're going to be putting in cream of cheddar soup, which has hella sodium. And on top of that, you're going to be having cream of mushroom soup. Guys, that is you catering to your family's first stroke. If you've already had one, you're looking forward to your second. I don't mean this with any sort of disrespect, but sometimes there is a bit of a thing called too much, especially when it comes to sodium. So we are going to be making a bit of a different sauce. It's still going to be a cheese sauce, not exactly identical to our mac and cheese sauce, because while the sauce needs to coat the ground beef, it needs to be thin enough. And when we make mac and cheese sauce, that is a very thick, tight, extra cheesy roux. So we're going to be going about this as a light cheese sauce with tons of flavor. And you're really not going to miss all those canned, prepackaged, processed, sodium-rich canned soups again. Guys, the whole idea of this is you're crossing over the classic cheeseburger into a casserole form. So we're going to keep the ingredients simple as that. I've seen people put onions and peas and carrots. Guys, if you're putting onions, peas, and carrots, I understand you may have kids, into your bacon cheeseburger hot dish, then I would like for you to eat your regular cheeseburgers with the same toppings. So we're not going to add any of that foolishness in there. So we're going to keep this as pure and to the point as we can. Now that our sauce pot is finally up to temp, we're going to melt a half a stick of unsalted butter, and it's not cooperating with me. Alright, we're going to let that melt down. We are still using a roux base, but this is going to be a bit lighter than we're used to. Turn down that heat some. Now that we've got that butter all nice and melted, we are going to add in 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Again, notice that the portion sizes are being reduced. There's a reason for that. Alright, now we're going to cook this roux out for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Alright. And it's been roughly a minute since we have started browning and cooking out our roux. And in this bowl is 1 cup of milk and 1/3 of a cup of half and half. Not half and half, but heavy whipping cream. You can use half and half if you like. This heavy cream is going to act as somewhat of a substitute for those creamed soups. It's going to give some richness and some thickness without being overpowering. And we're just going to whisk this until it starts getting thicker. Alright, and to this we're going to add our seasoning, which is 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground white pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And guys, if you have mustard, like ground mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of that will elevate it. Again, I ran out. So Again, it's not absolutely necessary. It's just going to make your roux a bit better. All right. So as you guys notice, this roux is starting to become thick. We're not trying to get it excessively thick. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in slowly. This is literally 2 cups measured, or 16 ounces, 2 8-ounce blocks of mild cheddar. And we're going to start adding this in bit by bit. Because unlike our other cheese sauces, extra cheese is always our friend. That is definitely not the case this time. And whatever we don't use, we will definitely save for later, because we are not done with the cheese aspect of this meal yet. Despite our best efforts, it looks like this is a little too thick, so we're going to cut the heat. And we're going to add a little milk to this. We're just trying to loosen this up a little bit. Just a couple splashes gradually to loosen this up a bit. Alright, that's what I'm getting at right here. See how thick it is without being goopy? That's what you want. So this is done. Our beef is almost done. So I'll meet you at the assembly. Alright, so we have our perfectly seasoned ground beef and bacon in this bowl. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add about half of our cheese sauce. We get that in there combined together. Watch out for your whisk. You don't need that anymore. Alright, so while this is going on, we've got our oil preheating to 350 on the burner. Now guys, I know you may have noticed that I am cooking and deep frying in that pot. There's a story behind that. A few weeks ago, my trusty old deep fryer decided to quit on me in the middle of cooking a dinner one night. So obviously when I get back to work, amongst other things, I have to bring another deep fryer into the house, because cooking in the pot, a pot of oil like that, one, it's less safe in my opinion, and two, it takes a whole lot longer to make anything, so it's a little inconvenient to me. Alright, so what I just did is I added about half of our reserved cheese to our beef and bacon mixture. And guys, this smells phenomenal. My oil is heating up beautifully. So we're just going to wait for the oil to come up to temp, and we're going to go ahead and start frying our tots. What you guys don't, as most of you guys probably realize, the bags of frozen tater tots that you get at the local grocery store, they are pre-cooked. So all you really have to do is throw them on top of your casserole or whatever else, and that's it. Since these are raw and just freshly made, you can't just raw dog them in the oven. You have to fry them first. They're going to turn out better that way. So we're going to wait for a few minutes, get this oil back up to temp, and we're going to start frying our tots. All right, now that our oil has finally reached our desired cooking temperature, we're going to take our tots, since these are large, just a few at a time, into our frying oil. You're going to want to cook these. Since these are large, I'm going to go about 6 at a time for about 3 to 4 minutes. And we're going to do that until our desired crispiness is ready. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. And this is what our tots look like. So we're going to drain these out on a paper towel. And the one thing that you must do Alright, and this next step is imperative. Now that they're out of the oil, you need to hit them immediately with kosher salt. This is a must, otherwise they will not have good flavor. So we're going to continue doing this. So 3 minutes is actually taking really good care of these large tater tots. So we're going to cook the rest of these like this, 6 at a time, 3 minutes. Now guys, this actually brings up a point I want to make to you guys. I want to shake people so hard when I hear them say so-and-so restaurant or so-and-so place has the best tater tots. Guys, you would not believe it when I tell you. This is what Big Tater is hiding from you. That's what I'm calling it. Big Tater. The main difference between any restaurant establishment's tater tot and the ones you get from the frozen section, it can be national brand, and honestly, you can get store brand. A lot of these store brand tater tots taste literally identical to the leading national brands. And a lot of these restaurants carry in bulk those same recognizable national brands. And the only thing that they are doing differently that makes their quote tots the best is instead of throwing them from frozen into the oven, they are taking them from frozen, tossing them into 350 degree oil of some kind, usually vegetable and or canola oil, and then they cook them between 3.5 to 4 minutes, and then they salt them immediately once they come out of the oil. There is no magician. There is no secret tip. That is literally it. And guys, stop paying for overpriced tots. Don't put them in the oven. Put them in a pot of oil like this or a deep fryer for about 3 to 4 minutes, and there you have it. You can have restaurant quality tater tots at home using the national frozen store brands. You are welcome. Today, we have beat Big Tater. Alright guys, all of our tots are done, and would you look at this right here. Are these not beautiful? Alright, one of them actually fell apart, not intentionally. So I did try one, and I have never had tater tots taste so huge and have so much flavor before. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a few of our tater tots. Doesn't take many. I'm going to add about 6 of them. Alright, and then we're going to add our cheese and the rest of our remaining cheese sauce. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to mix this all together. And don't worry if these tater tots break apart because they are fresh. That's okay. That's going to give you potato in every bite. So it's like you're going to have your burger and your fries all at the same time. And speaking of this beef mixture, I did try it once the potatoes were cooked, and guys, wow, massive. This tastes incredible. So now that we got all this folded in, even in the description of the other ones that I've made, the filling does not look pleasant up until the end. Now we're going to go ahead and get this ready for the oven. Alright, so now we're bringing out our 9x13 Pyrex dish, and we're just going to simply smooth, dump out and spread this beef, bacon, cheese, and tot mixture evenly. Guys, I say this a lot, but I wish there was smell-o-vision. This is absolutely an explosion on your senses. Alright, now that we've gotten everything all nice and worked out in here, we're going to start layering on our tots. Well, I'm a couple short, but luckily we can do at this point. So we can take some and cut and put them in half. That way we cover any surface area. Spread these out just a little bit more. Alright. And now, the finishing touches. We weren't done with cheese, but I will say it's smart to go sparing on the cheese because of all the heavy flavors and all the sodium that's naturally existing. So adding extra cheese inside the sauce mixture would only make this unpalatable because of the salt levels. Alright. And we are going to just get some more of this on. That should be more than enough. Oh, what the heck. Do you really ever have too much cheese? Alright. Last but not least, I want to garnish this with a little bit of parsley for some green. You could use fresh parsley if you want. But honestly, you're going to put it in the oven. It's going to bake. All the nice green stuff is going to come out of it. So now that this is freeze-dried, it'll actually hold its color a little better. Alright, so we're going to pop this in the oven on 350. And we're going to cook this for about 15 to 20 minutes. All we are trying to achieve here is to reheat this filling melt all the cheese and get a little extra crisp on top of our tots. So I'm going to set my kitchen timer for 20 minutes. I'm going to check it at 15 for doneness. The original recipe, and actually quite a few of the recipes for the same dish that I'm making, calls for cooking this for about 40 to 50 minutes. And that's simply because you are cooking the tots from frozen. And then, of course, you're adding the sour cream in cold, and both canned soups do not get cooked into the beef. So you actually do have to cook all of those elements. We're cooking from fresh tonight, which means a smaller cook time. All we're looking for is melted cheese, cooked interior, nice, gooey, crispy tots. So I will see you in about 15 to 20 minutes for the reveal and the tasting. And guys, this is insane. This is the finished product. This is probably the most insane, outrageous, loaded bacon cheeseburger tater tot hot dish that you have ever seen. So the only thing to do is to serve it up and try it. And guys, I'm starving. So hopefully this is as good as it looks or smells. All right, this is the moment of truth. This is what we have been waiting all video for. So I'm going to try to take me a piece out of the corner. This is probably better suited on a plate, but I got a feeling this belongs in a bowl. Look at that. It want to take me a little bit more. And hopefully I don't regret this. As far as, all right. All right. This is the moment of truth. Give me a tot. Give me some of that filling. Guys, look at that. Holy cow. That is phenomenal. Like, this is the best casserole I've ever had. No lie. These tater tots are fresh. They look like tots. They're well seasoned. They almost kind of remind me of an elevated hash brown. Especially when you've got them inside the mix like this. The cheese, the sauce is thick. It coats everything without being overpowering. The cheese is melty. The tots are crispy. This is a 10. Oh, this is a 20 out of 10. And I very highly recommend. I will be making this again just like this. Now, guys, you don't have to go the route that I did and make tots from scratch. This will work just as well with store-bought tots. This is just something I did as a thank you to all of you. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the best, most genuine, most challenging video that I could as a way of saying thank you and putting in the work, because you guys put a lot of work into supporting me. 100 subscribers doesn't really sound like a lot. Most folks would sneeze at that, but that is literally 100 more subscribers than I thought I would have. So until next time, I love you all. Cheers. There will be more viral food challenges coming up. This is the first of many. It may be a few months or several months before you see them, but once a month I'll be filming one of these videos just like this. So please, guys, you got something else to look forward to. Until next time, this is your boy Mark, the Mad Chef. I love all of you. Let's get to 200. Once we hit that 200 subscriber mark, I will put out 2 Mad Chef videos a week for a whole month as a way of saying thank you. Guys, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and share this with all your friends. Until later, I've been Mark. You guys have been great, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you.